Hey, what's going on, everybody? Coming in here to introduce you something that I think you're going to probably enjoy. It's all touching base on some good little healthy tidbits, some strategies to improve your health. Foods that are going to just do great in the body. And if you want the short version, I'm going to give it right now because I know people like to get it done and get it over with. So, like a summary conclusion right now. The main things I'm going to discuss or show you right now are doctors discussing these food products. The food items that are basically right here on the screen for your stem cells are going to be your chocolate, your cacao, black tea, green tea, and Mediterranean diet. Now, I advocate that Mediterranean diet a lot. I think it does well for me. But as far as like the chocolate, I always eat the chocolate and I feel great. But you're going to see exactly how much you need as a percentage. I think Dr. William Lee is going to discuss about 73% or more is what you want ideally for conferring some kind of benefit. And he does say make it as like a hot chocolate tincture or whatever, or like a cocoa or chocolate drink. I don't know. I just eat my chocolate just the way it is. So I don't think you need to go through all that. Your body will heat stuff up. And then there's black tea and green tea. Well, I love what he talks about in his video because he's going to discuss how black tea trumps green tea as far as health benefits. It's pretty cool. So we'll talk about those three. Then I'll finish up with spirulina, some interesting information there, and chlorella. Those are the three main things, or I guess I won't say three, but it's going to be the stem cells and then the spirulina. And I forgot, there's one other one, kiwi, and which is something I took this morning. So if you're ready for it, let's go ahead and jump into it. I'll go ahead and start showing you the first video now with Dr. Lee. And those are the main foods. I'm going to list them again. Cacao, chocolate, black tea, green tea, Mediterranean diet, kiwi, and spirulina and chlorella. Hope that helps. Do this. All right, let's rock and roll.
Earl Grey tea here, right here. I love tea, and most people have said this was the thinking previously that green tea is really great for you because it's green, it's got filled with antioxidants, and it's got all these polyphenols in it. And black tea, well, when the British brought it back from Asia, they couldn't actually bring fresh green tea with this long ocean voyage. So they fermented and dried it. And that drying and fermenting actually destroys those polyphenols. So it doesn't have much good. Like, might taste good, but it doesn't really have the healthful properties. Well, this is where science, again, is able to heat up that knife and cut through the butter to kind of see exactly what the story is. And it turns out that black tea actually is quite active. I studied Chinese green tea, Japanese green tea, and studied Earl Grey. And so you can, besides comparing foods with drugs, you can compare foods with foods to find out which is the best kind. I was interested in this Japanese sencha or Chinese green tea, jasmine tea, or is Earl Grey, which one is better when you throw them into the system? And we found, actually surprisingly, that Earl Grey, the black tea flavored with bergamot, actually was the most potent tea when you when you looked at all three side by side.
So there you go. Black tea is going to be your number one for dealing with the antioxidants. So the next video, let's see here. Gotta make sure I've got the right material. So this is going to be on, is this one on the kiwi? I think this one might be on Akkermansia. Well, no. This one would be kiwi, excuse me. So, the kiwi is basically for cleaning out your blood, but I'm going to let him explain. Dr. Lee has a good explanation.
Interior with a little white starburst. It's kind of tart and sweet at the same time. Well, that kiwi is packed with vitamins and antioxidants. And it's been shown that eating just one kiwi a day can actually cause your blood to be fortified to neutralize about 60% of the incoming damage from DNA. And if you eat 3 kiwis a day, okay, which is pretty easy, right? I mean, you peel it, you cut it up, You can put it into a yogurt. Okay, it's something that's simple. Actually, will help your DNA build itself back up, so that damaged DNA will be repaired. So don't forget. Like, think about the way of protecting your DNA. I remember an old video game called Missile Command, and this is where from the top of the screen there are all these missiles that are descending down on your planet. And what you had to do is to be able to fire and try to neutralize all the missiles. And that's what antioxidants actually do. Yeah. But it's really hard to prevent all the missiles from coming in. And so occasionally you actually have one that gets through the shields and creates a crater. That's damage. And so neutralizing the incoming is like antioxidants, but building back the damaged DNA, well, that's important too, because that's like patching a pothole in the highway, in the roadside, so other cars don't have a problem on it. And so here's an example of a food, a kiwi, that can actually do that. But there are other foods that can also have varying degrees of protection of your DNA as well.
Yeah, it makes me happy, that example, because my dad...
Pretty cool stuff, right? So right here, we're going to talk about, I think this one is where he's speaking about Akkermansia. Yeah. So this is very important. And again, he's going to kind of touch base with why Akkermansia was very important, because I think earlier in the video, he discusses how immunotherapy for cancer patients it works like wonders for eliminating cancer in the body. But one way that it makes it much more effective, the people that don't respond well to immunotherapy are usually people that have low or very little Akkermansia in their bodies, which is like the mucus forming bacteria. I'll let you watch.
Looked at 200 patients with different types of cancer, all getting immune therapy, and she looked at compared every dimension that she could between people who responded and people who did not respond very well to immunotherapy. And what she found? The difference was one bacteria in their gut. It wasn't genetics, it wasn't body size, wasn't obesity, it wasn't concomitant disease. It was actually one bacteria. That bacteria is Akkermansia muciniphila. Now, this is out of the 39 trillion bacteria in the body. This one has been studied, and it's stuck out. It's kind of like finding a fossil in the hillside. There's probably a lot of fossils, but she found this one. This bacteria was present in responders, and if you had this, you responded to immune therapy and had a better outcome with cancer. And if you didn't have it, man, your outcome was not good. So how do you get this bacteria to grow? Well, it turns out it's all about your diet, because there's no probiotic you can take for Akkermansia. Akkermansia can be grown. You can grow Akkermansia in your gut by having by eating foods that help your gut secrete mucus. Now, that sounds disgusting to a lot of people. It's gross, mucusy gut. But in fact, our gut naturally secretes mucus, just like our mouth normally secretes saliva. And this bacteria, Akkermansia, its full name. Akkermansia is just its first name. Its last name is muciniphila. So Akkermansia muciniphila means it loves to grow mucus. Yeah. So when you actually eat foods like pomegranates, or pomegranate juice, or cranberries, or Concord grapes, or the juice from these, it prompts your gut to secrete healthy mucus. It's kind of like fertilizer in the soil. Your garden's going to love to grow better. That Akkermansia grows there. It actually makes you a responder. So
there you go. I wanted you to have that too, because the pomegranate juice and all those kind of things, I actually eat pomegranates. I had some this morning and I love it. I think that I can tell there's a difference in my health when I consume those, or at least ways like I feel like I'm sustained much better. But if I go back and I have something like, if I want to party up or drink or whatever, get stoned, then all of those kind of, I pay the price. But I can tell that that's what builds it back and makes me much stronger. But the next one we're going to check out is on the stem cells, which is what I already told you about with the chocolate. But you're going to get the actual figures and all that information right here.
Plant-based food will actually have some type of bioactives. So In cacao, which is a bean, which then you process to actually get, kind of the cocoa powder. If you take the really dark chocolate, like 73% cacao, the really dark chocolate, and you make it into a high flavanol hot chocolate drink, and you have it twice a day. This was the clinical study. They found in people who wound up actually having drinking the hot chocolate twice a day over the course of a month, they doubled the number of stem cells compared to the people who didn't drink hot chocolate, right? And so the question is that important? Well, when they measured their blood flow, what they did is they put a blood pressure cuff on them, and which kind of like lowers the circulation of the blood. Then they let it go. They found that the blood flow was vastly improved.
Wow!
So here's a functional result that actually means it makes a difference. So who's going to complain about chocolate? Who's going to complain about tea? Who's going to complain about a Mediterranean diet? I mean, you go out to eat. These are the things we love.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Mediterranean diet, all the stuff that I had there on that display. And we're going to go over to the next one. Now, I find this one to be very... I try to give people both arguments when it comes down to spirulina and chlorella. You will find that if you go and do a search, there are some negative things that people will say about it. I haven't really found that to be true. However, this individual says that the problems, probably I won't experience them till late end or end stage before it's already happened, which is more or less having trouble with my cells. But he talks about this cyanobacteria, and I know exactly what he says. I watched a different video before this guy, Dr. Tim Trader, talks about it. But you see here on the left, that's Misfit Vegan. She interviews a lot of different people. I don't know. I mean, he said his thoughts. I don't really have any kind of studies to back this up. So, I don't know what to tell people until I found like a video where I took spirulina and it killed me, or I took spirulina and chlorella and I had negative outcomes. I don't know. Until I find something that's more substantive there, I see more people giving credit to it than not. So that's just my own 2 cents. You make your own opinion, but it's worth hearing him for a little bit, see what he says about it. And then I'll show you exactly what one of the people that, one of the producers of these supplements says, because I think she provides some good context.
Cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is where they also make the cyanocobalamin that some people take. I think that there's been some idea that there is some properties in the cyanocobalamin that is not really good. But I know in the spirulina and the blue-green algae that they actually have pseudo B12, not real, and it gets into your cell receptor and it blocks, it does that. But they also have something, trying to remember it, because there's so many, phenylethylamine. They have phenylethylamine, which is a stimulant. And that stimulant can actually keep you from having tremors. And it can keep your brain working very well. I mean, one of the things that they keep telling us about cognitive decline is drink coffee. Well, the thing is, the coffee makes you feel good now, and the phenylethylamine makes you feel good now, but it drives the nerve cells to a point, it's kind of like racing your engine in your car. Well, gasket, people. So they also have lipopolysaccharides. Lipopolysaccharides, otherwise known as endotoxins, can eat away at the myelin sheath and cause nerve damage. But because of the components together, we don't see the symptoms of that until it's too late. So
there's that. And then now we're going to watch exactly Dr. Dr. I don't even know, is she a doctor? But Catherine Arnston, and she's going to talk about, and I know a lot of people know Dr. Mindy. She kind of spearheads a lot of this fasting thing, but yeah, let's see what she's going to say. I think you're going to be impressed with what Catherine talks about. Even though this is her product, she probably knows it coming and going. She just has a fascinating way of describing and displaying information. And beyond that, you guys got to go and do the research. I don't have anything that I'm producing here, studies to back all this up, but I'm sure there's a lot of good content you can find.
As well as okay, Chlorella. So Chlorella is Spirulina's brother, and Spirulina was the cyanobacteria, first life on Earth, and it is a bacteria, cyanobacteria. Chlorella is a plant, and it evolved about 1 billion years after Spirulina. Now, the great thing about Chlorella is that it's the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world. Chlorophyll has the same chemical composition as your hemoglobin. So it's very powerful to build your blood, which builds your immune system, which builds your gut, which builds everything. Number 2, Chlorella has a hard cell wall. Spirulina has none. Chlorella has the hardest in the plant kingdom. And in fact, it has to be cracked at production, and we do it in a way that's much safer than anybody else. That hard cell wall attaches to toxins. Lead, mercury, radiation, all the heavy metals, any kind of senescent cells as they're dying, lime, it's a binder. It's a binder. It chelates. It's way better than activated charcoal, which can pull out all minerals and leave you dehydrated. This has 40 vitamins and minerals, so it's also populating your body with minerals. So 2 things, very, very cleansing because of the chlorophyll, which cleanses your colon and cleanses your liver. Highest glutathione in the world, which is very also detoxing, and particularly for your liver. The hard cell wall pulls out toxins, and it has K2, vitamin K2, which moves excess calcium out of your skin, out of your soft tissues, including your heart, your blood vessels, your brain, and into your bones. So almost everybody is deficit in vitamin K2, and this has your daily requirement of it.
So if I wasn't doing Spirulina and Chlorella on a daily basis, all these amazing things you're talking about, the happening, like the getting into the mitochondria, do we have other foods that can even come close to that?
They are the most concentrated foods in the world, number 1. Number 2, there are three antioxidants that stop the damage of mitochondria. And when your mitochondria, especially your mitochondrial DNA, are damaged, they cannot send proper signaling to cells or other nucleus or other mitochondria. This is what leads to diseased cells, which leads to the symptoms that we're experiencing, whether it's a hormonal or immune or brain fog. So the key for everyone is to protect their mitochondria.
Yeah.
And when because I tell people, the mitochondria are on your team. Like, yeah. I also tell everybody, I never eat alone. I'm eating with my mitochondria.
Something that you might think about trying out too is methylene blue. I hear that's pretty good for mitochondria. I've got some. I only take 1 drop, and it does some interesting things in the body. I don't hate it. I do get headaches every now and then with it, but there's something I like too. I haven't figured it out, but totally different from anything else I take as a supplement.
Mitochondria, they're all, because what I eat, they get.
Right.
And when you're eating carbs, they're being bombarded with free radicals. Processed carbs, sugar, processed foods result in more free radical damage because there's slippage, there's loss of electrons in that electron transport chain, which convert into free radicals. So your poor mitochondria, they have no defense, except, well, they have some defense if you start getting into, first of all, you want to reduce those carbs, which is what keto diets do, fasting does, and same with algae. There's virtually no free radicals released when you're using algae. Yeah. And the other option is to remove the free radicals. And I'm circling back to the original thought, which is the problem is the mitochondria have this inner membrane, and traditional antioxidants can't get in there. Yeah. Vitamin E, vitamin C, as I mentioned, nothing can get in there, except there's 4 that can. Chlorophyll, which of course algae has the highest concentration of, glutathione, melatonin, and superoxide dismutase. Now, the great thing is your body makes those 3, superoxide dismutase, melatonin, and glutathione, and from the moment you're born until the age of 30. And then after 30, it starts to drop until you're like 40, which is, a lot of your audience, and 50, it's even worse, and 60, 0. And those are the antioxidants that can get into that inner membrane to stop free radical damage. But after 30, you're screwed.
Yep.
Algae has the highest concentration of all three of them in the world, and you can't get them. Superoxide dismutase doesn't exist in any other food. Glutathione, there's the minuscule amount in meat, but otherwise virtually non-existent. And even if you get a glutathione injection or drip or something, it has a very short half-life, which means it disappears in your body within about half an hour or an hour. So when you take it as a food in algae, you're constantly feeding in that glutathione so they can get in there to stop the free radical damage.
Right.
So you can, and so while the spirulina is stopping that free radical damage, by the time you're 30 or 40 or 50, you've also accumulated more and more toxins.
Yeah.
And that's where the chlorella comes in. Because
So they're like a team.
they're a team. They're your A team. This will protect. They will protect you. Yeah, algae team. It's the A team. And I'm Catherine Arnston, which is also an A.
Oh my gosh.
So there you go. That's all I wanted to share today, guys. I hope you found it interesting. You know, this is what I basically operate with. I mean, I'm constantly dealing with supplements. The ones I gave here on the video are the ones that I take pretty much. I don't do black tea. I eat pomegranate. I started with kiwi. Chocolate, I haven't done recently, but I have in the past and just felt benefit. So don't always poo-poo something just because you think, oh, well, it's chocolate. It must be sugar, bad sugar, whatever. I don't want people to get that into their heads. And what I've heard, and I'll echo it again here, it's not about what you take, what you eat necessarily, but it's more about what you leave out. So even though I listed all these things for you to consume, some of what you could just do is just leave out all the bad stuff. And most of the things your body will be able to, it'll take time, but it will turn over and hopefully give you some good health. If you found it informative, great. Smash the thumbs up button. It'd be great. If you want to comment, super. I just put together what I thought would be kind of like the most watched moments or pivotal moments, informational, from all these different camps. Because so many times you're like watching and you're like, whoa, that's what I was looking for. And you got to wait and hear everybody talk, including me. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.